Level 1, Candidate. You dream of studying nursing. You fill out the application forms. The department's admission score is high. Competition is fierce. Everyone wants to enter the healthcare sector, to extend a helping hand to people. For now, everything seems this simple. 4 years. Anatomy, physiology, pathology, pharmacology. Courses pile up one after another. By the end of the first year, 5 of your classmates give up. By the end of the second year, 3 more quit. You keep going. Even without fully knowing why, you keep your eyes on the road. Clinical placement begins. For the first time, you walk into a hospital wearing a white coat. The smell of the corridors greets you. Disinfectant, plastic, and something deeper underneath. You can't name it yet. In time, you'll get used to it. It will seep into you. For years. Even when you return home, it won't fully leave you. You meet your first patient. An elderly woman. She lies in the bed, her eyes on you. "Are you going to be a nurse too?" she asks. "Yes," you say. She smiles. "Be good," she says. Just that. 2 words. On your way home, you think about those 2 words all day long. You receive your diploma. You spot your family in the crowd. Your mother is crying. You are smiling. You haven't truly grasped what this profession means yet. You only know that the road has begun. Level 2, newly graduated nurse. Your first day, you have a name tag on your white coat. You step onto the ward. 10 patients, 10 files. Each with different medications, each with a different treatment plan, each with an entirely different story. The first week, you can't find a vein on one of your patients. The patient winces in pain. You feel your hands trembling. Finally, an experienced nurse comes to your side and inserts the needle in one swift motion. She walks away without looking at you. You feel ashamed. You step out into the corridor. You take a deep breath. You walk back inside. The first month. A patient stops breathing in the middle of the night. Alarms echo. You run. The doctor arrives. The team intervenes. The patient is resuscitated. You stand still in the corridor, not knowing where to put your hands. Your heart is still racing. The shift ends. You go home. Your mother calls. "How was your day?" she says. "Fine," you say. This becomes your first lie in this profession. Nobody asked how you were doing. You slowly learn that this is simply how things work here. Level 3, ward nurse. Your second year, your hands no longer tremble, you find the vein right away. Alarms go off, you run, but something inside you is calmed. Not panic, more like autopilot. What you've learned is now engraved in your muscle memory. The morning shift starts at 7 a.m. You take over 14 patients. Medications, IV drip monitoring, dressing schedules. 1 has an MRI, 2 have discharge paperwork. You manage them all at once. A list runs constantly in your mind. That list never ends. You can't step out for lunch. You can't leave the ward. You go hours without using the bathroom. You don't tell anyone about this. What would change if you did? At one point, a colleague whispers, "I haven't had water since morning. If I drink, I'll have to use the bathroom." You both laugh. It seems funny, but this is actually the truth. A patient shouts at you, "Why did you take so long?" You were just refreshing another patient's IV 5 minutes ago. You apologize. You get used to apologizing. Then you realize the patient isn't really shouting at you. They're acting this way out of fear, shouting at their pain, their helplessness. They're taking it out on you because you're there. The shift ends. You go home. You don't have the energy to cook. You heat something up. You eat it, but it has no taste. You lie down. Your eyes close. At 6 a.m., the alarm goes off. You get up. You go back again. Back. Level 4. Senior nurse. 5 years have passed. You know very well how things work on the ward now. Newcomers come to you for advice. You witness their trembling hands. You remember yourself. "It passes," you say. "Does it pass?" "Yes." But as it passes, it takes some things with it. You switch to night shifts. Less noise, less running around. But nights have a different atmosphere entirely. Patients talk more at night. Because they're afraid. Because they feel alone. Sometimes you sit beside them. You listen to them. It's not in your job description, but you do it anyway. An elderly man wants to have a conversation with you. He talks about his wife. They spent 60 years together. She passed away last year. She died of this illness, the man says. Of longing. You hold his hand. What else can you do? The man goes quiet for a while, then he says, "Thank you," simply for holding his hand and being there. The man passes away toward dawn. You're on shift. You close his file. You don't speak, instinctively. You make your way to the next patient's room. You don't have time to stop and cry. In this profession, you don't just cry. You cry later. At home, in the bathroom, when no one is watching. You understand this completely now. Level 5, charge nurse. Your 8th year in nursing. You receive a promotion. Now you manage the shift yourself. Nurses consult you. Doctors ask for your opinion. You make the decisions. This is an enormously heavy burden. Nobody told you how demanding this responsibility would be. Staffing is never enough. 3 nurses have called in sick and no replacements can be found. You carry on the shift with just 2 nurses. 20 patients. The rules say this isn't possible, yet you manage. You don't even know how you do it. But when the shift ends, everyone is alive. A nurse walks into your office. She's crying. "I'm burned out," she says. You understand her. You're exhausted yourself. But you can't say that out loud. You're the one in charge. "It will pass," you say. This becomes your second lie of the day. The first was telling a patient earlier that morning, "You're going to be all right." You report the staffing need to management. A response comes a week later, no budget. Efficiency is to be improved, apparently. You know what that means. More workload with fewer people. You put the file away. You come back to work the next day, because you have no other choice. Because you have patients to care for. Because you are a nurse. Level 6, specialist nurse, intensive care. A full 10 years have passed. You transfer to the intensive care unit. This is a completely different world. The patients here don't speak, don't walk. They're connected to machines. There are only numbers. Values read off screens. Analyzing those numbers is your job. You notice a deviation before the alarm even sounds. This is not intuition. This is 10 full years. A patient's vital signs deteriorate. You move swiftly. You call the doctor. Medication is administered. The values stabilize. The patient holds on to life. You kept them alive. Nobody tells you this. No congratulations, no gratitude. The next day, you do it again. And the day after that. A small child comes in. A traffic accident. 5 years old. The team does everything possible. It isn't enough. The child says goodbye. In the final moments, you hold the child's hand. Tiny fingers, still warm. The family is waiting outside. Someone needs to inform them. That someone is you. You open the door. The mother looks at your face. You don't need to say a word. She already understands. She collapses where she stands. You arrive home. You hold your own child. Without a single word. They don't ask any questions either. Somehow they sense it. Children sometimes do. You hold on. You don't let go for a long time. Level 7, deputy head nurse. Your 15th year. You're no longer on the ward. You sit at a desk, reports, tables, statistics, cost per patient, workload per nurse, resource optimization. You study these. People who once waited for healing have now become rows of data. This unsettles you, but you get used to it. You have to get used to it. You attend meetings. There are doctors, administrators, budget officers. You speak on behalf of the nurses. "Our staff is burning out," you say. They listen. They nod. Someone takes notes. The meeting ends. Nothing changes. At the next session, you say the same thing. They listen again. Nothing changes again. A nurse finds you. "I'm leaving," she says. 10 years of experience. Someone who worked in intensive care and saved dozens of lives. "Why?" you ask. "I'm not seeing patients anymore," she says. "Just filling out paperwork. Forms, reports, evaluations. I didn't study for this profession to do this." She walks out. You stay behind. You think the same thoughts yourself. But you don't say it. You have responsibilities. Your marriage is shaking. Your spouse says one night, "It wouldn't make a difference if you weren't here." Something breaks inside you, deep and silent. But that night you have no time to talk. There's a meeting in the morning. You stay silent and wait. Level 8, head nurse. Your 20th year. You manage the entire nursing services of the hospital. 500 nurses, 1,000 patients. Every day a new crisis. Every day a decision. Every day someone comes to you and you have to say something. Sometimes even when you're not sure of its truth, you speak. But you say it. Sometimes leadership is exactly this. A pandemic breaks out. Everything changes overnight. Nurses fall ill. Equipment runs out. The rules are rewritten every day. Wards overflow. Beds are pulled into corridors. You manage. Even without knowing how, you carry on. There is no other option. You have 500 nurses and they're all looking to you. A nurse takes her own life. A young one. 2 years in. She had withdrawn into herself during the pandemic, unable to ask for help. You hadn't noticed. Maybe you could have. Maybe not. You will never find an answer to that question. The feeling stays with you. For a long time, it doesn't leave. You wake up at night and sit. You ask yourself that question. No answer comes. You attend a press conference. You say that nurses are heroes. Cameras record you. The microphone goes off. You return to your office. You sit at your desk. Your hands rest in front of you, still. You stare into space. You cannot tell how many minutes have passed. Then the phone rings. You get up. You carry on. Level 9, the threshold of retirement. Your 30th year, you were never a doctor. No nameplate hung on your door. You didn't stand at the center of press conferences. You didn't give presentations at conferences. But every morning, you were the first person to walk onto the ward. You were the one who kept vigil through the night. You were the one who held their hand. You were the one who delivered the news. You were the one who consoled the weeping family. You don't know how many patients you kept company through their final hours. You didn't count how many deaths you witnessed. You didn't calculate how many times you came home weighed down not by tiredness but by grief. You didn't want to count. If you counted, you couldn't carry this weight. A ceremony is organized. They present you with a plaque. Speeches are made. Our dedicated nurse, they say. Our exemplary colleague. People applaud. You smile. Different feelings pass through you inside, but you long ago forgot how to show them. You learned this 30 years ago. To defer your emotions to later. Sometimes that later never came. You hand in your badge. You take off your coat. You step through the hospital doors and outside. The air feels different out here. Or perhaps the air is the same and you have changed. Do you stop? Do you turn and look back? Perhaps. Perhaps not. Either way, it is heavy. And at some point right now, a young person is filling out a university application form. They write nursing. I want to extend a helping hand to people, they tell their mother. Their mother smiles. Neither of them truly knows what that means. They don't know the smell of those corridors. They don't know those night shifts. They don't know those tiny fingers. They will learn. Everyone learns. But learning comes at a cost. Nobody says this cost out loud beforehand, because if they did, who would ever enter this profession?